Hello and welcome to the Carbitrage Podcast, episode 167. I am Eric Berger, joined as always by Ryan Sinitsky. Hello, sir.
Yeah, that's me.
And
Hi.
Jana, hi.
Hi.
So we are once again doing virtual, and that's not actually because we want to this time, but it's because, again, on poor planning with me, I planned a trip in the middle of a podcast recording, and we're actually doing it a day late on my account, too. So I am in the middle of McKinney, Texas, in a bedroom at one of my best friend's house, and you guys, it looks like we're both at Ryan's place.
It looks like Jana's internet. She has Facebook messaged me my internet, and that's it.
Oh, that's a bummer. Well, I guess we will have a static image of Jana until she comes back, but either way, that's the deal. We're doing, like I said, we're doing virtual, at least for today, and then maybe we'll get back in the studio when I get back in town for another one. But anyhow, that's the deal. Still doing virtual right now.
She's back. Okay, there she is.
Yep, I'm
Hi,
using my
Jana.
phone as a hotspot because apparently whenever I try to do anything on the internet, my computer decides my internet named after my dog is also dead. So,
Perfect. Well, I'm on
Yeah.
I know,
gigabit
lighter
fiber with brand new Ubiquiti hardware here, so it's doing really great.
I am drinking a beer that Jana actually found.
What is it?
It is called Supra Deluxe. It is everything I
pretty
love.
dank.
It's named after one of my favorite cars.
I like that typeface.
Yeah, it's a pretty rad beer. It's from Modest Brewing, so it's a lager.
Is it modest or modest?
modest.
Modest.
It is modest? Okay. I heard somebody say it wrong one time, and I'm just like, huh, that could be.
Maybe
You're like,
they
you
say
know
that
what?
they're-
It might be that. You know, I don't
Maybe
know.
they have.
It could be.
Maybe they just
I don't
said it.
really know.
Do they
I
say
just
modesty?
assumed it would be modest
Said
because it was
modesty?
modest.
It reminds me of the Top Gear episode where he is in Liverpool. It's actually Liverpool, but the guy's like, "Oh, it's Liverpool." I'm like, why
No.
do they call it the Liver
Ugh.
Building then? Like, I don't know. Like, it's probably because it's not Liverpool. It's Liverpool.
That is a very,
Gosh.
very, very good beer, especially with how balls hot it is outside right now.
I actually have a beer as well. Let me figure out what the hell it is. It's in a Buc-ee's koozie because I'm in Texas. It is a Dallas Blonde.
Mm.
I'm just imagining Pam Poovy, but okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it tastes like. Tastes like Pam Poovy.
I just have water in assorted coffee mugs. This one's from the company my
That's fine.
works with during the summer, Soccer Shots.
Go
They
fun.
they gave us coffee mugs for
That's
Christmas.
not a
For,
Buick Roadmaster. Sorry,
What the hell?
in my background, I'm looking at Facebook Marketplace for cars. For
Okay.
Back to the 50s. And I found a 1951 Hudson Commodore that is mislisted as a 1951 Buick Roadmaster. It's very modestly priced. It's three-speed manual, inline six, for $8,000 with complete floorboards.
Don't do it.
It is beige though. No, this is like a good car. It's Doc from Cars. It's a great car. I love it.
I haven't seen Cars.
Really? Oh, you missed it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been told that is correct.
It's
But anyway.
It's a good movie. Anyway,
I
we
think
should
Cars
talk about
3 is my favorite, but
Really?
Well,
Scott said that was
really
bad.
would be-
Okay, alright.
Scott's wrong.
See, well, like the thing is, maybe it's not that great, but whenever I take too much of my anxiety medication, that's all I want to watch.
Oh.
So it might just be like a weird because like everyone I talk to disagrees with me, but all my students love
I
it.
agree with you. Cars 2
I
is
like it.
great. It is way better in Cars 2. That's the worst one. I think Scott doesn't want to admit that Cars 2 is the worst because
Yeah.
there's a 996 911 that's a main character.
Sally
in Cars
Carrera?
2.
No, that's the first one.
Oh, is she?
Wait, the second one we don't talk about. 'cause
Yeah, the second
it's
one's that
trash.
one where
I think
there's-
he agrees that the second one is awful. but-
nobody likes the second one.
Okay.
They went totally off base with the second one,
So
and
bad.
they become international spies.
Oh,
It's
for Pete's
weird.
sake. So it turns
Yeah,
Cars
they
into
like-
Spy Kids. Great.
They pretty much mulliganed the second one when they made the third one.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second one.
Well, I'm glad that they
trash.
got their groove back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's much better. Anyway, we are way too far in the show. We have not talked about Patreon, so we need to plug that. And then
I will gladly
Go
handle the
back to your
Patreon plug, even though my microphone is not great. So head on over to patreon.com/Carbitrage. What Patreon is, which you will find on that web link that I just described to you, is we'll call it a platform for content consumers like you to directly support content producers like us. It just kind of cuts out the middleman. We don't make any money from this podcast, but if you'd like to buy us a beer or even contribute toward the hosting cost, we would greatly appreciate it. So head on over to patreon.com/Carbitrage and check out our open-ended options for support that we have.
all right. Anyway, back onto the show. The world has changed a lot since our last episode.
A lot. Just. Well, I mean,
A magic wine monster appeared.
Now you're drinking a wine.
I am.
But anyway, we recorded the last episode, I think, like right before Minneapolis was lit on fire.
I think so. Yep. Yeah, we did it.
Yeah,
Like,
it was literally the day before. We have, so yeah, we're not. That's not for us to discuss. I mean, we need to acknowledge that that's a thing.
Yep. Yeah, it has affected us certainly, but not
Yeah.
too much. And we're a car podcast, so some
Yeah, we're
really
a car
good
podcast.
stuff got torched, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes, some of our favorite stores were torched for unbelievable amounts of white supremacist things I never thought I was going to have to do in my life. I did, but here I am.
I now have a new
Anyway.
distrust for out-of-state license plates. I'll put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's like this wooded area in between some of the houses on Normandale, and cars tend to pull over there and park there a lot. But I've definitely called everyone in the past 2 weeks because it's just an unspoken dumping ground, I guess. But
Oh, really?
every time I saw it, I just called it in because I was like, you're white guys throwing stuff into a wooded area, and I don't recognize your car.
Yeah.
After the entire city was burnt down. Like,
I think anything, even a low level of suspicion, is pretty suspicious right now. So.
me and Gianna called the police on this guy was like flying down the freeway the Chrysler 300 with no visible license plate
Oh,
and like
great.
super tinted windows.
Mhm.
In hindsight, I think he might have just bought a new car and you couldn't see the temporary plate through the windows. But the thing is, when you're doing some weird shit, it's like Brian
10 minutes
Posehn.
before curfew.
Yeah, it's like Brian
Mhm.
Posehn. You know, the giant comedian that's like bald and he's got a beard and he kind of looks like a serial killer? He has a joke about night digging, where he can't go outside and dig in his yard at night because he looks like a serial killer. And the police will just come and fill him full of bullets. There's
I
just
mean,
some things that you can't
yeah,
do.
but why would you be digging in your yard at night? Like, it's really
Hey.
nice to have light.
That's the point of the joke. It's
Okay.
like
Yeah,
Alright.
that's the
something
joke,
that
but-
nobody's gonna do, but you think like, oh wait, some things I do look a little suspicious.
Yeah, like there's certain things you can't get away with. Like you
Yeah.
can't go dig holes at night. And that's just something you can't do. So
But yeah,
you're-
like not this Friday night, but the Friday of last week, I actually have to board up the door of my school because it's right off of Lake Street in St. Louis Park.
I
Because
still
Lake
have to
Street
give these
becomes Highway
back
7.
to Trig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So that was a
did
weird feeling.
put a loaded magazine in my firearm, which
Wow.
normally
You
lives
don't do
on my
that
night.
often.
No, I haven't racked it. It's not chambered or anything, but there is a loaded 40
Yep.
full 40 caliber magazine in my Glock 23 in my bedroom. So.
You had a higher caliber weapon than I did, because I just had a 30-30 Winchester.
I had
I
the
had
22
Wyatt
LR
Earp's-
conversion
I
on
had
my
Wyatt Earp's gun.
well, I mean, that's much less high tech than what I'm dealing with, even though my firearm is basically the design's from like the 40s, so it's really
Yeah.
not high end. But I had the 22 LR conversion set on it because that was the last thing I went to the range on, and out of laziness, I put the 40 top end receiver and magazine back in it because it was already loaded.
That's fair. That makes sense. Yeah.
But anyway, I don't intend to use it, but there you go.
No, I've stuffed away the rifle, and I will return it to its home very soon here.
Fair enough.
But yeah. So anyway, we live in Minnesota. If you are new to the podcast, we've had to rethink our entire lives. But
Yeah.
whatever.
It's been
Anyway,
intense.
so weird things that have also happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in this Utah Classic Japanese Cars Facebook group, which is like...
That is an incredibly strange sentence.
Yeah.
I know, right? But anyway, it's really weird until you think about the fact that JDM Legends is centered out of Utah. And they actually have a really good classic Japanese car community there, so I actually joined that group for when I'm writing at JNC. I get a lot of leads on stories from that. And actually, one of those leads happened like day before yesterday. I was pooing, and on Facebook as one does. Yes, I was on Facebook as one does, and I saw a picture of
Weird. Yeah, that's incredible. An early Japanese car with a left-hand drive.
Triumph/Vauxhall dealership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of these dealers just happened to get like a handful of probably Princes that would come in, and that's how they would sell them. Most commonly, that's how they would do it. And
So
they'd have like different.
Were they subject to like crash testing and all that kind of stuff, or no?
This is before that. This is 1960, dude.
Well, I know, but like there were still regulations with selling a vehicle in 1960.
As long as your headlights were the right size and you had the nipples on them, you're fine.
Okay.
Like that's seriously about the end of it.
Also, full disclosure, when I kicked over to your web link, I think it had the Discord audio muted, so it's back and it has been for some time, but it might have missed just the first like 10 seconds of what you said.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, this is in a Utah junkyard. Anyway, this guy, Alexis, who took the photos of it and posted it, he's actively trying to save this car. The owner of the junkyard, from what I understand, is on board with saving this as well.
It has 6-bolt wheels.
It's super weird. The more you look at this car, the more weird it is.
What year is this? Or like 50s?
1960. 1960.
60.
So,
Okay.
but it was designed in the 1950s. It's also got like a 60 horsepower inline 4, 4,400 RPM red line.
That's plenty, really.
Yeah, it's got
Oh, look at that engine!
weird,
Wow.
it's
Is
got
that
a
overhead cam?
Yeah. It's super weird. So it's a 2-main overhead cam, if I remember correctly. It's a 2-main overhead cam, roller bearing crank. Like, it's super weird how they did all this.
Interesting. So it's like a PWC or something where they use
Pretty
a
much,
different kind of bearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's even crossflow.
Is it?
It kind of looks like it.
Oh, it might be. No, that's a reverse flow. Because you see how low that distributor is? That has to be a...
Oh, that's the Dizzy. I gotcha. Yeah, so everything's on that side.
But, no, it's a really, really cool design. And this, honestly, there's a very high likelihood that this could be the last left-hand drive Prince Skyline, like, left in existence. Because even the right-hand drive ones are almost unobtainable in Japan.
I like this Fuji Precision Machinery Company Limited. Not Fuji Heavy Industries.
Yeah, I'm bringing up a picture of what this car would look like in its prime. But they are definitely really rad. I would love this car. This is totally beyond my ability to restore. So I'm helping them try and find a buyer for it. But if I could ever possibly purchase this car myself and restore it, I would love that. It'd be the ultimate back to the 50s car.
Oh yeah, I agree. Something like that would be sweet.
I posted a link to a photo of a perfect one. Yeah, in the photos. But so you can see what I mean. Like, it is identical to a Tri-5 Chevy,
just
but it's
smaller.
Like, yeah, it's on the scale of like a Honda Fit.
Also, it's a 4-door. Thank God.
Yeah, they're really cool. But I mean, if you compared that to the Beetle in the background, it's about the size of the Fit. They're really
I mean,
small.
weird
They're
scale
super
reference.
cool.
It's almost like a banana for scale, but yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
I
you,
have-
Tumblr.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bananas.
But that's
It's
the guy.
huge.
And then my laptop fell because it was sitting on top of said bananas.
I did
Um,
hear that, yeah.
Alexis sent me some photos of the car as well, personally. The car is definitely not bad by any means. As far as like what it could possibly be, it's not great. I mean, you're gonna be doing your work, but
Yeah, but it doesn't look like it's rotten. I mean, I can't see the floors from there, but
No,
the body
it
looks like an Arizona car that just.
it needs floors, but that's because the windows have been busted out for God knows how long.
Well, it looks like it needs a rear left door. That got crunched in pretty good.
Yeah, and that's the thing is these parts are going to be quite literally, I'm not exaggerating, impossible to find. Because I've had Ben looking for feelers for any of this shit, and he's like, dude, I'm not finding anything. Even my friends in Japan were like...
But, I mean, the old door is still there, and, like, the other stuff is still there, so it could be duplicated, and, like, the latch mechanisms are still there, so...
Yeah, so,
that
like...
goes
yeah,
a long way.
And that's kind of why I'm saying, like, this really, like, as far as a project goes, like, this car could be much, much worse. It could be like the Bugatti in the lake or something, where, like, the car was just completely gone, like, completely unsavable. I sent a picture of the instrument cluster into the Carbitrage Discord, because that's my only way of getting the photo from Facebook private to here. But,
I can't, unfortunately, pull that out, just because I'm using Discord for video.
oh, nuts. Shoot, let me think of the way I can do this. You want me to do? Hang on 1 second.
What are you going to do, Ryan? Explain it to me in
I-
great detail.
I'm going to show you in great detail. I'm going to post the picture on my Facebook wall
Okay.
with no context, and I'm going to send you a link.
You don't even need to. I will log into Facebook, and I will find your account, and I'll pull it up.
All right, perfect. I just don't even know where I saved this photo now. Damn it.
Well, in other news, one of my villagers told me that they didn't like my dress. They didn't think it was cute, and now I am heartbroken. So
Jan is playing
I'm
Animal
logging
Crossing.
out.
I was going to say, wow, that's a dick thing to say.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had
Your
to.
neighbor comes by.
Yeah,
Like, your
I
dress
had
is
to-
shit. What?
I hadn't
No.
logged on today, and the shop closes at 9, and I realized what time it was, so I had to quick log on before I.
Eric, I just I'm posting. Yeah, the
I'm on your page.
Gauge
I'll refresh
Collections
it.
live. This is one of the most mid-century modern instrument clusters I've ever seen. I've
Oh,
never
wow.
seen.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
That's actually very avant-garde for the time.
Yeah, like this car, like a lot of people slept on this and how cool the Prince Skylines were, and these have always been one of my favorite Japanese cars ever. I've always said, like, if I could get any Japanese car, it would be a Prince Skyline, just because they're so weird. I've seen one in my life.
That's actually impressive that you've even seen one, but...
Yeah, well, that was at a, it wasn't one of these, it was one of the Skyline Sports, and that was at JAI, and even that was, like, everybody walked past it, and I couldn't get anybody to, like, pay attention to it. I'm like, no, you don't understand how cool this car is. This is, like, the coolest car you've never heard of.
Even if I had no idea about its rarity or its story, which I basically didn't until right now, that's still the kind of thing at a car show I would go look at without knowing anything about it.
Yeah, like, what's this weird little car? But, yeah, it's just one of those things.
What's
where
this Tri-5?
Why is this so small? Like, it was, like, it's super cool. But, I mean, like, to be fair, it was also next to a Hakoska that was freshly restored, and it was in the rarest color. It's, like, 1 of 43, so...
What color actually was it? It was like a blue-gray?
It was...
Or...
No, it's Safari. The Hakoska that I saw?
No, sorry, the Prince.
Oh, the Prince?
The one in
This
the
one is
junkyard.
supposed to be blue.
Okay.
It's supposed to be all blue. And then with that, you have little white... You have white areas that would be accent marks. So in between this chrome strip, there should be a white accent that goes front to back.
Okay.
And also note, so this is cool. People say that the one of the most notable designs on Skylines is the surf line. It's that weird body line that I know you hate. That goes right over the rear wheel arch and leads
Sure
to the
do.
taillight.
Yep.
Yeah. If you look on this car, it has it.
It sure does.
This is the very first car to ever have the surf line. That's why when the R32 came out without a surfline, people were pissed, and then nobody cares anymore because the
Yeah.
R32 is way better.
Fuck 'em.
This is one of the weirdest finds I've ever found. Like, weirdest junkyard finds. So yeah, this car needs to be restored and put in a
I'm
museum.
sure somebody will snag it. I mean, if it made it this far, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially if the junkyard is like.
Yeah. Again, if they get that much attention, they're not going to crush it, even if like somebody can't come up with it right on the spot. So.
No, and this junkyard dude's a businessman. Like, need be. I've got $2,000. I'm willing to throw down on this car if I need to like save it. So, I will make sure this car is going to.
Well, somebody save it so Ryan can save his house down payment fund.
Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously.
please. Otherwise, I'm the one that's paying for the house, and I
Entirely.
make $17 an hour and have a part-time job.
Anyway, so Eric.
I want to talk. Okay, a couple of weeks ago, we kind of finished an episode, and I think I actually went in and started this topic back then, but
Yeah.
we kind of alluded to rental car horror stories, and I think we all have at least one of these things. So I went through and typed just a couple of them up, but I mean, this really, any trip, like I'm on one right now, I'll talk about a little bit later, and it doesn't even involve a rental car, but no matter what can go wrong, it will.
Oh,
And with rental car companies, there are so many hidden things. There's just like incorrect information. There's deliberately hidden stuff. There's this similar vehicles thing. I just wanted to like briefly talk about our experiences with rental cars, and I'd actually really like to hear about our listeners' experiences too, because I'm sure they have them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But-
We want to hear them.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this on the podcast, if you're a patron, go to our Discord page and let us know in the Discord on your topics.
And if you're not, we'll still look at it, but post it on our Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not, we'll still take a look at it, but I can't guarantee we'll see it.
We'll try our best.
But anyway,
Eric,
I'll kick this thing off.
Because you've have
You've
disaster
had a
after
few,
disaster.
and I love hearing them.
As almost anyone that has ever traveled with me, or has been, we'll say in the top 10 text messages of my phone while I travel, will tell you I basically shouldn't leave the house. Every time I
Yeah.
travel, I run into just unbelievable shit that just shouldn't happen to anyone. And I don't exactly know why that is, but like I've come up with, in this particular wheelhouse, a few things that are just like, really? So, about 2 years ago, I flew out to San Diego, California to visit a couple of friends and just take some time off. I had not had a vacation in a really long time, so I'm like, screw it. They wanted to see me. I wanted to see San Diego, which I've never seen before, so I'm like, I'll go out there. I will drive north, go into LA, try to do the canyon roads, whatever, have a great time, come back, fly home. So, I went and at some length found a company that had a V6 independent rear suspension, so a pretty new one, an SN650 Mustang convertible. I'm like, nothing special, but 300 horse V6, top down, very important.
Yeah.
I'm like, great, no problem. I booked it. It said it was, airport pickup. I booked my rate. I booked the number of days. Set off on my trip. I get to the airport. I go outside of the rental car area. And there are a bunch of rental car companies and rental cars on site. This was in, like I said, San Diego, California.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to the designated area for, I don't even remember what company this was. They all suck, so don't rent a car.
Yeah.
But a bus pulls up. I'm like, I'm here to pick up a reservation at the airport for blah. And it's like, oh yeah, get on. So a 10-minute drive later into downtown San Diego, I pull up to the rental car place, and the lot is very visible. It only holds like 20 cars. Most of it is full of just like Nissan Versas and just this garbage that they rent out, Altimas, things like that, just fleet vehicles. Nowhere in this lot is there a Mustang convertible. I go inside. There's one person working. There are 5 people queued in line, and there are 3 waiters. There's one car runner handling all of the turnover for the vehicles. So, over an hour after I get to the rental car place, I showed up on time for my reservation, which was at like 3:30 p.m. I hand him my phone, which has my reservation. He's like, "Oh, yeah, this was ready this morning at like 11:30, and the car got picked up. We just sent it out with somebody else." I'm like,
What?
"The reservation says 40 minutes ago when I got in line here." It's like, "Yeah, I don't know what happened." I'm like, "So what can you do for me?" It's like, "Well, we got these Altimas." I'm like, No. I rented a convertible to have some fun on some canyon roads." While we were having this conversation, they took a rental return in. It was a 2018 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited soft top. The guy's like, "Well, the only convertible I've got is this Wrangler that just came back in, but I haven't had time to process it." I'm like, "I will take that because it has a top that goes down as my or similar," and that's what he ended up putting it on the bill for. But he charged me extra. It was an extra $15 a day over the Mustang. Otherwise, he would only let me take an Altima. I'm just like,
That's ridiculous.
I tried calling the corporate number for this company. No answer. Nobody. No nothing. Couldn't take anything.
Shame.
And I was
no
so
shame
frustrated.
I have no shame with sending these these rental companies out of business. I'm so happy that everything bad in the world's happening to them right now.
Yeah, dude, it was
seriously.
I wanted to be out of there
everyone's
so bad.
I can't believe they charged you extra when they gave your car out.
Yeah, they claimed they were in the right, and even though they had the wrong reservation time, and I had a printed confirmation in front of me. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, but the date and time matches. So I waited another hour roughly from then, and they didn't vacuum it out or anything. We did one very brief walk around, and I got in this Wrangler Unlimited, which, truth be told, I had a great time in. It was fine. Yeah, but I mean, I paid an extra $45 to drive that thing for 3 days, so it was fine. It had 940 miles on it when I picked it up. It had 2,000 when I dropped it off.
That's hilarious. Good.
But anyway, that was probably my most recent rental story. Pretty much, yeah.
Here, let me give you actually, I'm gonna just to be a palate cleanser. I will tell you, if you're going to Los Angeles, find the LAX and you have to rent a car, and for some reason you're not using Turo. I don't know why you're not, but let's say you're not.
Use Turo.
Yeah, use Turo. If you're not using Turo, the only rental car company I've ever been happy with is Sakura Rental.
Yeah, Sakura. They are a company that, we didn't get the car we had rented for, but they upgraded us with no cost. And
that's nice. At least they seem like they care then if they're doing something.
Right, so this is the thing, though. This is where they're different. Sakura, they cater to Japanese travelers.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you call them up, the phone responds in Japanese, and then you have to press 1 for English.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty
They're
cool.
for Japanese people. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, but this is the thing: every car's Japanese, and they're not just a bunch of Altimas, because they're trying to these are people that are coming out of K cars and coming out of things that suck.
Altimas are also American. Let's be honest. They're made here. They were designed here.
No,
It's mostly Toyotas too, and that's why I went with them, because of so many reserving a car and then having to because my parents go down to Florida every year, and we have to get a van in order to fit my brother's wheelchair in it. And there's been so many times where they try to put us in an SUV or similar car, and we're like, no, we have to have a van. You don't understand. We need to fit a wheelchair and 5 people. And so because of this, when we went to LA for the first time, I really did my research, and I looked at all the companies, and none of them had really good reviews except for Sakura. And Ryan was a lot better at Japanese than he is now. He's still pretty good at it. But
I'm still good. I was conversational back then, so I could
and so this website was very minimal English, but enough that I understood what was going on. And when we were there, Ryan heard them talking about, because all the employees spoke Japanese to each other.
Sure.
That was what they spoke.
They spoke English to you, and that was it.
Yeah, and even then it was very minimal English. And so Ryan was telling me exactly what they were talking about in Japanese, and then when he started replying to Japanese to them, they were really shook, and I think they're very excited, and then took even better care of us than the rest of the white tourists, which I thought was hilarious.
All their negative reviews were from like Karens and Patties that were like just complaining about stupid things. And that's the thing. That's what's important with rental cars is you look at the bad reviews and see what they're for. Don't look at the good reviews. Never.
Yeah,
no, I never look at good reviews for anything. I don't care.
Like see what they screw up. Like, are they screwing up like you have a special needs family and you require a van and they try to give you a convertible? Or are they just like, this guy spoke to me in Japanese and didn't speak enough English? I don't understand what's going on. Like, I'll take that.
Another thing with Sakura was they had very much a Japanese like business model. So when they were taking care of you as a customer, it was in like definitely a foreign sort of way to most Americans. Because like we sat inside while we were waiting for like to get to the counter, but as soon as they're done with us, they had us sit outside to wait for the car, which makes sense, but it's not like they had an outside waiting area while they're getting your car ready.
Right.
And that was what a lot of the complaints were for, being like, oh, I was out in the heat. And like,
well, another reason that they do that is while they're getting the car ready for you, you can watch them.
Yeah.
So you know they're not just like screwing around.
Right.
Or, like, smoking weed in the car or something.
Or trying to like meet a deadline that isn't, like you have to use a certain amount of time between when they check in and when you issue them a car for consistency or something. I mean, believe it or not, that shit exists.
No, it's true.
It's like you're not allowed to get somebody in a car that quickly, even if you can.
Yeah.
So, and that was like the best experience I ever had with a rental car.
Yeah, that was really nice, and they were like really understanding when we were like, oh, we really wanted a Yaris, and they're like, we just don't have another one. If you wanted to wait this amount of time, that's when we'd have another one coming in. Unfortunately, we couldn't wait that time, and they were like, well, here's our options. Which one do you want?
Okay.
And so they gave us the option of a Sienna or a Corolla.
Okay.
At the cost of a Yaris.
Yeah, which, mind you, the Corolla was another $30 a day, and the Sienna was another $60 a day.
And they offered it to us, for the price of the Yaris. It was the best. Like, they were super nice. They spent the entire time apologizing to us.
Yeah.
I mean, as they should. I mean, they screwed up. And, like, the fact that you're willing to take a similar is...
Yeah. And, like, they even, like, they were
offering... This shouldn't happen. Technology is so good. You know what's on your lot, okay?
Yeah. And that's the thing, is, like, the whole point of them not having a Yaris is somebody just didn't return theirs in time. And, like...
Which is, I get that.
Yeah, and, like, but the thing is, like, they took care of us. They offered us everything they could. They even offered to give us a call when it arrived so we could go walk around the area. They offered, like, they did everything they could to take care of us. So, Sakura is really, really awesome. I can't say enough about good things about them.
And they were really close to the airport, and they had a personal shuttle. Like, it wasn't just a bus that, like, would arrive at certain times. Like, you called them, they sent a shuttle out, and then, like, you came back.
Sure.
And,
so, I would say if for whatever reason you aren't using Turo, let's say, like, you're going on a trip with your parents, and your parents don't trust this newfangled thing, you absolutely have to get a rental. Sakura is the only way to go. Otherwise,
Turo has its drawbacks too. I mean, it does have to be said, but typically it's there are fewer issues.
Yeah, I see Turo on your list of horror stories. Anyway.
Yeah. The main reason I put Turo on there, so I went to the 24 Hours of Daytona just before the world shut down, essentially.
Yeah.
It was, I think, it was this year even. So I rented a manual 335i convertible M Sport, which was sweet, because I needed a BMW to get into the paddock to use my paddock pass to basically avoid hundreds of dollars in parking, which I had already avoided with my pit pass. And the process, honestly, was pretty good, but the gripe I have is you're basically out either a long-term parking lot parking fee, an Uber at least on one of the two ends, and people's car return requirements are sometimes, in my opinion, a little bit unrealistic. Like,
Yeah.
in order to return this 335, I had a great time with the car, and I told him it needed a few things that he didn't know about. I even taught him that it had power folding mirrors. He texted me when I was on the airplane. I was like, how do you fold the mirrors out? I'm like, hit the button, you idiot. Anyway, but the thing is, like, I had to, like, he's like, bring it back washed and vacuumed. I'm like, dude, like...
What?
Yeah. Like he told me where the car wash was nearby, but, like, I had to take an extra 20 minutes to go, like, pay for a car wash and do this. And then I had to go back to this long-term lot, and when I dropped it off, there wasn't a charge. But when I picked it up, I did have to pay for, whatever the daily rate of the parking lot was. So, I mean, things like that, I don't want to deal with that. Like, I want to just either be picked up in the car, have the car waiting.
And they actually list that on Turo, though.
They do, and I accepted that, and I knew it was going to happen, but this was the first time I had dealt with it. And honestly... had I not had to have a BMW, I would have used the rental car company at the airport instead. Just because being able to walk to my car is way, way, way more appealing. Not having to wash it.
Well, LA at least, because the only time I've ever used Turo was in LA when I had that Fiat for JCCS. And,
which is awesome.
We found a really awesome owner. Cause, like,
was that C you had?
Yeah. So when I was looking, so when we were in LA, we were going to stay in Anaheim because we were going to be commuting to Long Beach every day, and we didn't want to stay and pay for a downtown LA hotel when we would be in Long Beach most of the time, so we stayed with family in Anaheim. But the first night I was like, we are not going to make your elderly aunt come pick us up from LAX from Anaheim at like way too late in the night because I had to work that day.
Sure.
And so I was like, we'll just stay at a hotel in downtown LA where they're used to late check-ins and all this stuff, and plus it'll be like a nice first night, and we didn't want to pay for we didn't want to pay for, or I personally didn't want to pay for parking, because every hotel in LA you have to pay for parking. And so I was like, you know what, we're not gonna get a car from the airport, so it was fine because we're using Turo. But like we talked to the guy, we're like, hey, we're at a hotel next to the airport because they offered airport pickup.
Okay.
And we're like, hey, we're not at the airport, but we're really close to the airport. Would you be willing to drop it off there? And he was like, no, but I can drop it off at this place that you can walk to from your hotel room, which was a long-term parking facility.
Sure.
And it was 3 blocks away.
Yeah, and
I think that's the best way to do it too, because like a lot of the time, like these people that Turo their cars, they've invested on a really nice quality like key lock box with a combination. So I mean, you can make it work, and if it's walkable, fine.
And all public transport goes, because like it's a public transport station to LAX.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a really convenient spot, and the parking lot specifically had spots for, Turo users, which was really cool, and probably one of the most unique rental experiences ever.
Did Brian just drop out? Oh, you're back. Okay.
Yeah. I dropped out, now I'm back. It was really weird.
But yeah, and so it was nice being able to drop it off too, because once we dropped it off, we were able to take public transport back to LAX, which was free.
That's smart. I mean, if I was going to do a Turo car, what I would do is I would find a monthly prepaid parking lot that's near something that has a shuttle that runs all the time.
Yeah.
So I could leverage something that's already there to not make people pay extra. I'm like, people are willing to walk a little bit more than they're willing to pay more money, typically, for something like that. Because, like, if you're doing Turo, typically you don't want the hassle. But I don't know. I mean, with a long-term parking facility, if you pay monthly, you don't have to deal with tickets. You don't have to deal with anything, really. You have an RFID tag in your car, and you come and go. You can park it whenever you want, and that's perfect, because the person can just come get the car, unlock the lockbox, turn it on, do whatever they're going to do, and then bring it back and leave it. And I think that's way smarter than having to deal with something that is an airport long-term parking, where you will have to pay to get out, even though you can bring it back in for free.
Yeah.
I think that's better.
My nightmares for car rental stories.
Okay.
I'll give you just one of my. I'm limiting it to 2.
I'm into it.
I'm gonna give you one, and you can go with some of your other ones. I want to talk about when I get a car, I have a different. You want a car that you want to have top-down fun in, right?
Absolutely.
I accept that there is no rental car that is going to be acceptably fun under any circumstances. It's always
and you're right. Yeah, I mean, the Mustang for me was like a lesser of evils.
And so that's why my philosophy with rental cars is I get the one car I know for a fact I'm gonna love, and that's a Mitsubishi Mirage.
I have a story about a Mitsubishi Mirage and a rental too.
So this is the thing, though. They always don't have the Mirage.
I was gonna say, did you also get or similar out of the Mirage?
I got or similar out of the Mirage. So
Hey, me too.
Twice. The first time I got or similar into a Yaris, I actually ended up loving that car, and I might actually buy a Yaris.
Yaris is good. No, Kazashi.
It's gonna be a Kazashi, a Yaris, or a Fiat 500. It's gonna be one of those three.
All good choices.
Yeah, they're all really good cars. And I like the Yaris the most out of that because the Yaris... Damn it. Oh, that was Janet fell out. Yes, not me.
I am all that is man.
Oh, Janet's back.
Welcome back, Janet.
But the Yaris I like because that one's got the most like factory performance parts.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like the deal. I want to go to the Toyota dealership and just get a bunch of TRD shit for it, you know?
If you're going to rent a car, like, the best possible chance you have of having fun in it is getting the lightest possible vehicle.
Exactly, yeah.
That is what it is.
Easiest to park and most fun to be driven at 70 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
especially because we tend to travel mostly in states where the cities are densely populated. Like
parking is a big deal for rental cars, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't want to park Impala. It's awful.
Fuck no. God no.
Yeah, especially when we're dealing with Airbnbs in LA where they don't have parking for you. Like, you straight up either have to pay for your parking or get tickets.
I'm not going to
We ended up getting a ticket, and it was cheaper to keep the ticket than pay for parking.
Yeah, I ended up just racking up a series of parking tickets in West Hollywood than I was to park overnight in a parking structure.
That just shouldn't exist.
I literally, at the end of the trip, I just...
That's another rental car horror story.
I took my 3 tickets, I'm just like, okay, whatever. It would have been, it was like, literally, it was $300 for the 3 tickets I got.
That is a lot of money.
$500 for overnight parking.
Oh my god!
It was literally that. It was $500 for overnight parking or $300 for 3 parking tickets. I'm like, 3 parking tickets.
There's definitely a point on a vacation where I'm just like, that's it, I'm out. Here you go.
Well, like, the reason why was because originally the Airbnb did offer their parking spot, because the Airbnb was a condo in this it was a converted apartment building, and so they each had like a kind of covered parking space, and they used to have that parking space available, but for whatever reason for our trip they were using it or not allowing it, so like we didn't quite know that there wasn't parking available, and because they're like, there's street parking available, but like not during the time we were there.
No street parking, I don't know about that one.
Like they did alternate streets based on the days of the weeks of the month. It was really weird. I didn't understand it.
Yeah, so, even parking when there's like a computerized box and a code for the spot name. Like, I don't trust it ever. So I just assume I'm going to get a parking ticket and I'm going to have to pay it. And if it's not my car, then I really have to pay it. It's even just like, it's like a toll pass in a rental car too. I mean, most of the time they handle that really well. I will give them props. They usually handle tolls really well. And they submit an addendum to your bill for, usually it's not even marked up, it's just for the tolls you actually racked up. So
yeah, it's for the actual tolls. It's really nice.
That I think people do really well with rental cars, but man.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes we get or similar to something that's okay, like we do with Sakura. So there are other times where I'm like, I like a Mirage, and they were like, here's an Impala. I'm like,
yeah.
No!
I've got one better on my Mirage or similar story.
What did you get?
Do you remember 2 years ago when I flew out on a one-day trip to New York to inspect the Lamborghini Murcielago before we actually paid for it?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
You really do need a Mirage in that city.
I reserved a Mirage because I just didn't want to park it and I also wanted really good fuel economy for the 2-hour round trip to go look at that car.
And
Yeah.
what did
Do
they
you
give
want to
like,
know what they
like
or
a
similared me
3500?
into?
They gave you a Tesla S model.
Special financing error.
Chrysler 300C.
Closer, but no, it was a CUV.
Oh God.
Special financing, CUV.
Dodge Journey.
Yep.
Oh.
They
Why
put
would you
a-
have said that in
They,
New York?
I did not post anything about it because I was so offended by this vehicle. But I got or similared. I reserved a Mitsubishi Mirage, I shit you not, and I got or similared into a 3.6 liter rally spec Dodge Journey. I will say the actual rental person at that facility was awesome. Other than the fact that they literally she admitted to me they did not have Mirages. They never rented a Mirage at that particular location.
What?
Like, what the hell? I picked it up, and it was one of those things where it had just been dropped off. Again, like, I can get you out right now in this if you want. It's a similar offering, no additional price. I'm like, fine. But it wasn't full on gas, so they took it in. It was at 5/8 of a tank. They marked it as half, or like under, or something like that. I did the 2-hour round trip. I forgot to fill it up.
Oh, no.
And I told her, I came inside, I'm like, it was fine, but I forgot to fill it up. She's like, well, what's it at right now? I'm like, it's at a quarter of a tank. She's like, she went back, pulled the return form for the last person, and put it as 1/4 tank, and then submitted my paperwork, so I didn't get a fee for that. Which was super nice, because they were going to charge $8.50 a gallon for gas.
Oh no. That's another thing that my... Like, when
$8
we used
a
to go out to
gallon?
New Jersey...
$8.50.
Jesus.
Yeah, when we used to go out to New Jersey,
Yep.
because you can't manually pump your own grass in New Jersey. When,
Pumping grass is kind of lame.
Yeah, but my dad would always forget that, and so we'd go to gas stations and get yelled at for pumping our own gas. But he found out that with this one rental car company, because if you include a tip for the person that's pumping your gas, like it ended up being more expensive. So he just turned it like half full and was like, yeah, I'll pay the fee. And when he did that, I looked at him like we had like a bunch of money. I was like, are we rich now, Dad? Like, we never do this. And he's like, I just didn't feel like tipping.
Well,
my
he probably
gas.
did the math, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, like, full service is kind of annoying. Like, I'm sure it was cliche and cool back in the day when you had to have your oil checked every, like, 20 miles or something like that. But it's like,
Well, yeah.
these
Between
days...
that and like
pay
the
its
toll
pump.
fees and stuff, it was just cheaper to
Yeah.
like pay the company whatever they wanted, and like that was the only time my dad's ever done something like that. Because like
Yeah, but it's a logical
everything's
decision.
So shit. Yeah,
Actually, I'm
and
back in.
it's just because shit's crazy out in New Jersey. Like
I think it was
we
2000.
had to fly into the Newark airport. It was,
Oh, no. Oh,
I think
no.
it was 2010, where me and my dad went to Monterey to go visit Ralph.
Mhm.
We had another Impala because I'm stuck with Impalas for the rest of my life. But
Unfortunately.
the gas charge that they had at the rental, like the threatening gas charge,
Yeah.
was less than the actual cost of gas was. Because you remember, like right in the middle of the recession, when they just decided to hike up gas prices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
to see,
remember
like,
John
what the
McCain's speech about $4 a buck for a gallon of gasoline.
Yeah, like they just hiked it up to see what the breaking point was for the American economy, which is actually, I'm not gonna lie, scientifically really interesting. But anyway,
And it was about $4.19 a gallon. That was kind of the limit.
yeah, it was like right at the peak of that. So in California, like $6.
Yeah. Well, yeah. California's still
yeah.
in the $3 range. It's
The
ridiculous.
quote-unquote threatening price that they gave us was like, we'll charge you $5.10 a gallon, and we're like, that's $1 less than it actually is. So we ran that tank down to like empty. And
You guys just left it idling wherever you went in.
yeah,
Just
it
to
was just
burn
like,
extra
until it got
gas.
to the point in which it was sputtering. That was so yeah. That kind of just rental companies sucking. Like
Yeah.
I'm just so happy
God.
they're all going out of business. because
Yeah,
of COVID.
seriously, I'm glad they're getting their comeuppance, except for what it sounds like Sakura, and then some people that do really well on Turo.
Yeah,
But-
Yeah,
Sakura,
I don't
but I
think
mean-
Sakura will go under just because they're specifically for all the Japanese business people that come in and out of LA, and
They're also an
the
international
system.
company.
Yeah, they have a system just like super tuned, super
They're
fine
so
tuned,
niche. Yeah.
and
Well,
like
it's Japanese, of course it is.
yeah, and it's just like they. I still like when we went into when I flew back into California, we ended up flying into San Diego, but if we would have flown into LA, I would have made my parents rent from Sakura, but unfortunately they didn't listen to me and we
Well, I'm
flew
sure
to
they're
San
not
Diego.
available at every airport, but yeah, like a coastal international airport. Yeah.
When you go to sakura-rentacar.com, their website gives you the choice for continuing Japanese first before it gives you the choice for continuing English.
I think they
let's
only
call it
have 3 different locations in
I'm
the
looking.
U.S. and they're both 2 of
I'll
them
put it
are
on the
in
stream
LA.
here.
Yeah, it's a really great service. Like, I can't say enough about it. People are gonna think this is a paid ad, but see what I mean? Like, it's super Japanese.
Yep. I should. In fact, I want to go back to the Japanese site. There we go. Oh, dude, it is so broken. The responsive design is just terrible.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah,
have Mustang convertibles, and I bet they wouldn't, or similar to me.
No, they wouldn't. And
They
if
have
did, they'd
2
like
different.
you-
They have like, their basic Toyotas, and then they have like a luxury car dealership
Sure.
or car service.
Well, I
So
will
they-
definitely keep them in mind next time I rent a car, because I'm at to the point
Yeah.
now where I'm just like, I would pay so much extra money just to not have to mess with anything.
Oh yeah,
they're-
and that's
they're
like
really
that's
great.
why we paid for them. Like you definitely pay a little bit more, except for their base models, like the Yaris and stuff is
Sure.
cheaper. But
So they
you
have
know-
3 locations in the United States, but I feel like
Yeah.
I found like their actual website. I think they actually have more like outside of America that you
they
just like don't see.
they
on the
have a lot
American
more
website.
outside of
I was gonna say it's very likely they have,
most
other
of
countries,
America.
possibly English or Japanese speaking.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, if I remember correctly, like when I was looking at them, I think they have like a bunch of stuff on like throughout Asia, like Macau and stuff like
Yeah.
that. If I just can't remember exactly where I found
But
all
yeah,
that.
if you go traveling, hit me up. I'll find you the most interesting places to
Oh yeah, there we go.
run and go
Deal.
to.
Yeah.
Actually, if you go to hotwire.com, it'll show you so they're like Mitsubishi, and which is in Gunma, which is where Initial D takes place. So I imagine it's just nothing but AE86s that you get to rent there.
Yeah.
But like yeah, so Sakura is actually really big in Japan, so they're probably fine. So oh my god.
I don't
They're
know about
really
this
big in Japan.
description.
They've got a lot of. Oh my god. Yeah, they're all over Japan.
Weird.
so
A
yeah,
company called Sakura Rental Car is big in Japan.
They're
Yeah,
pretty much,
right?
They're like the Hertz of Japan. I just found
Hopefully
that out.
much better though, because Hertz sucks.
Yes, much.
Well, I
better.
mean,
They're
like as far as
so
size.
nice.
Right. I knew what you meant. I was just being obtuse.
But well, here before we end out the episode, I'm gonna give you my worst nightmare story of
Okay.
car rental.
Sure.
This would be when Jana and my family went to Alabama to
Oh my
go to
God.
my granny's funeral.
I remember this.
Don't
I
worry, people.
wasn't involved in this because I was smart and I flew in later than everyone else.
But boy, howdy, my mother, she was so busy trying to figure everything out with the funeral and everything. She's like, "Can you help me with the rental car?" I go, "Sure," like an idiot. And we rent from, was it Ace Rent-A-Car, honey, or was that Hertz? I know it was
I don't-
Hertz. It was Hertz.
I don't know.
They
I
rented
wasn't
from
involved
Hertz
in this process.
Rent-A-Car, and I put the reservation under my name with my mother's credit card.
Oh,
for-
God,
for
yeah.
her. And she was behind me, and the lady that worked at Atlanta International Airport, she's like, the name on the card needs to match the name on the reservation. And I said, why did the website let me put 2 different names then?
Seriously.
And she
Like,
wouldn't
Yeah,
give me
and
the card.
do the
And
thing
my
with
mom-
Ryan
billing
and I
and
have done this many
mom had-
times.
My mom had 2 forms of ID. She had her Best Buy like corporate ID and her like
Which I'm
driver's
sure was a
license
picture ID. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a picture ID. She had her insurance that said her name and my name on it 'cause for some reason.
And probably address.
Yeah, and their address, which matched. And then my dad also vouched for her. We had the entire, like, damn family in there. And they still wouldn't give us a car. So I decided, because I was so ass mad about this, and there's now a massive line forming, and they wouldn't give me my effing car, I was gonna sit in line and call the booth next to them.
You know, I would love to actually travel with you, Ryan, because if you got into a problem that I run into all the time during travel, I guarantee it would be corrected.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
This was corrected immediately because I called Ace Rent-A-Car.
Especially when I'm with him, because it's good cop, bad cop. Like,
Yeah, I'm a wonderful bad
Midwest
guy.
sweetheart being like, I'm so sorry, I understand it's difficult for you, and he's like yelling at them, being like, you're not gonna get away with this. He's going full Karen.
Anyway, what I did was I called the booth next to them, and I rented a car. I go, hi, do you have any cars available? They go, yes, we do. I said, wonderful. I was just at Hudson
Weren't you
Commodore.
making this call from the line?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
talking to the person directly next to her, like on the phone. And so she was just going through things because she has like their calls are recorded, so she had to like go through all the steps. And I was being very nice with her.
Sure.
And I paid for it with my name and everything. Got all that done. It was good. And I put my phone down, and I looked at the lady at Hertz. Mind you, this is in Georgia. And I put my hand on the table very politely. I go, "Bless your heart." And I walked over, and she looked like she was so red in the face. I thought she was gonna pass out. She was beside herself.
What you
With a
should have
bless
done
your-
when you made
the
this
bless your
reservation next door, you should have put it in your mother's name too. just to
Just to rub it in.
just to
Oh,
really
yeah.
rub it in.
Oh, I actually, before I said bless your heart and left, I also left her a bad review while I was standing in line just to make that whole transaction take a little bit longer. I
Good
left
on
a
you,
bad
Ryan
review on
Snitsky.
Google.
Good
So-
on you.
And then
No.
ending it with bless your heart in Southern is...
Oh yeah,
Southern
that is a fu in Southern
that
speak.
that is the FU, and then every word that you could ever say to somebody that's bad all at once. That's
Yep.
basically saying bless your heart. That's dueling words.
Oh, I mean, again, it depends on context, but if it's not at a family event or with family, it means that.
Yeah.
Like, it is a
Yeah,
really huge insult when you're not family.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you're not family, yeah, those are dueling words, especially in the way that I used it, and I knew damn well what I was saying. And I looked her in the eye when I said that, and she was. I honestly thought this
Bless your
fat
heart.
lady was just like shaking, and her beetle wings are flapping. She was so mad.
Well, and like, what was even more unsettling about that is Ryan and I have put the name in, like, underneath my name and used his credit card, vice versa,
Mhm.
all the time with this specific company. I don't remember
Yeah,
the
if
name
it
of
takes
it.
the reservation, it's usually fine.
But yeah, so like, him and I have done it so many times. So like, while I was at work, I got a call
Yeah,
being like,
you've done it.
did we happen to put it underneath your name? Like, did you pay? And I was like, no.
Right,
No,
it's
but
a
it's
good question. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not finding it. Could it be under another name? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, actually, it could be. Here you go. Oh, no problem, found it right here. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah, no, that
why
was-
isn't it like that then?
Oh, and
But
then we
rental
had
car
to go
companies,
through another whole ordeal because we had to take it over state lines.
Oh, that's tricky.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was.
usually I just lie about
Another benefit about Turo, and yeah, just lie.
that. Yeah, just lie about it. Anyway,
Well, his parents didn't know how to lie about that.
yeah,
so.
my parents. I don't know how I've made this line, but anyway, we should end this episode out. Did you have a final nightmare that you need to talk about, or did you?
I'll save it for next week. I mean, I mentioned
Let's
this
talk
one's just
about
running a little bit long, but
This
like I
this
said,
one's your car, so.
yeah. So I'm in Texas right now. I made it.
Well, hang on. Let's make this a cliffhanger. Next episode.
I'm not in the vehicle that I left my house in. There you go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We'll say that. Matt.
So we'll talk to you about it next week, but it's a story. I tell you, it goes perfectly with my travel experiences by and large. It's just, man, I should stay at home.
You really should. This is what happens when you break quarantine.
Mhm.
All right, I'm gonna grab another beer and then we'll start the next episode. Okay?
Toodaloo.
I don't have time for another episode today.